10 years. 10 years I stared at the same concrete walls, counting the cracks as they multiplied, just like the lines on my face. Tonight, the only thing I'm counting is the distance between me and that place. Every step on this cold asphalt is a lifetime away from the cell that held my body, but never my spirit. You might see a man on the run, an escapee shrouded in darkness. But I'm not running from the law. I'm running towards justice. This isn't just an escape. It's a reclamation. My name is Ethan Marcus, and this is the story of how I lost everything and why I had to break out of prison to get it back. Before the bars and the jumpsuits, my world was my daughter, Catherine. Her laughter was the soundtrack to my life. We were a team. After my divorce from her mother, Michelle, things got complicated. But Catherine was my North Star, my reason for everything. I trusted Michelle. I really did. I thought, no matter what happened between us, we both wanted what was best for our little girl. I believed in the system, in family, in the fundamental goodness of people. That was my first mistake. The phone calls started subtly. Catherine would be quiet, withdrawn. Then came the accidents. A fall down the stairs, a slip in the bathroom. I saw the bruises on her small arms, the fear in her eyes that she tried so hard to hide. She'd whisper things about Daniel, Michelle's new husband. Little things at first, then darker, more terrifying secrets. I confronted them. I went to Michelle, begging her to see what was happening. She called me crazy, jealous. I went to the authorities, pleading for them to protect my daughter. They saw a bitter ex-husband trying to cause trouble. They saw what Michelle and Daniel wanted them to see. The betrayal was a cold, sharp blade. It came on a Tuesday. I was at their house, arguing, demanding they let me see Catherine. Daniel got in my face, and things escalated. The next thing I knew, police were there. Daniel had a cut on his head that wasn't there a minute before. Michelle was crying, telling them I attacked him, that I'd been threatening them for weeks. They found a stash of stolen electronics in the trunk of my car electronics from a warehouse Daniel managed. It was a perfect frame-up. I was the angry ex, the failed businessman, the criminal. They erased me. My past, my character, my love for my daughter, all of it, gone. In court, the evidence was stacked, the story was clean, and my protests were just the ramblings of a guilty man. I was convicted of assault and grand larceny. My life was over. Catherine was left in the hands of her abusers, and I was powerless, locked away. The erasure was complete. Inside, despair is a physical weight. It presses down on your chest until you can't breathe. For the first few years, I was a ghost. I did my time, kept my head down, and died a little more each day. The hardest part was the silence. No letters from Catherine, no visits. It was as if I never existed. The only thing that kept me going was a small, faded picture of her smiling, a gap where her two front teeth used to be. That picture was my sanity. Then, the awakening. It came from a crumpled newspaper someone left in the yard. A small article on page 6. A local tech company had been hit by a series of sophisticated burglaries. The method was identical to the one I was framed for. But the name the police were circulating, the suspect they were hunting, was Ethan Marcus. Me. Someone was committing crimes and using my name, my identity, while I was sitting in a maximum security prison. It was Daniel. It had to be. He wasn't just content with taking my freedom and my daughter. He was trying to bury me under more crimes, ensuring I'd never get out. In that moment, the despair burned away, replaced by a cold, hard rage. I wasn't going to be a ghost anymore. They woke the fire. I started planning. I studied the guards' routines, the delivery schedules, the blind spots in the security cameras. I became a student of my own cage, not to survive in it, but to leave it. The escape itself wasn't cinematic. It was dirty, terrifying, and desperate. It involved a laundry truck, a suffocating pile of soiled linens, and 3 minutes of holding my breath that felt like an eternity. When I finally tumbled out into the cool night air, miles away, freedom didn't feel triumphant. It felt heavy with purpose. This was my release. Not a pardon, but a self-made parole. Every nerve was screaming. My heart was a drum against my ribs, but my mind was clearer than it had been in a decade. I had one goal: expose Daniel. Before we continue with how I turned the tables on the man who stole my life, I want to take a moment. If you're finding value in this story, if you believe in the fight for truth, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps stories like this get told and reminds people that even in the darkest of times, there is always a way back to the light. Thank you. Now, back to the hunt. The reversal began with a single burner phone. I couldn't go to the police. I was an escaped con. To them, I was the villain. So, I had to become the director of my own movie. I started by leaving breadcrumbs, not for the cops, but for Daniel. I found a reporter, a young guy hungry for a big story, and fed him anonymous tips. Details about the new burglaries that only the real thief could know. I mentioned specific items Daniel had fenced, things he'd bragged about to his associates. I knew his ego was his weakness. Then, I went for the personal blow. I found out where Michelle and Daniel were living. From a safe distance, I watched. One evening, I saw Catherine through the window. She was older, a teenager now, but the same sadness lingered in her eyes. That was all the fuel I needed. I used a voice distorter and called Daniel. I didn't threaten him. I just said, "I know what you did, and I know what you're still doing." To the company. To Catherine. I told him I had proof a lie, but a necessary one. I told him a package was on its way to the DAS office. The paranoia had to be eating him alive. The final move was poetic. Daniel had a private storage unit under a false name. It took me a week of surveillance to find it. I broke in. And there it was, a treasure trove of stolen goods from his recent jobs. The proof I needed? I didn't take anything. I just left a single item on top of a stack of laptops. My old, worn-out prison ID. An impossible object in a secret place. It was a message. I know where you are. I know what you've done. And I'm everywhere. I made an anonymous call to the reporter, giving him the address of the storage unit and Daniel's fake name. I told him to call the police and be there when they opened it. The news broke the next day. Tech executive exposed in major burglary ring. Daniel, panicked by my call and the reporter's questions, had tried to move the stolen goods. The police, tipped off, were waiting for him. It all unraveled. His confession included everything, the new crimes, and eventually the old one. He admitted to framing me 10 years ago. Michelle, under pressure, confessed her part in the conspiracy and the cover-up of the abuse. The truth, after a decade buried in lies, was finally free. And so, here I am, the return. I'm standing across the street from the same police station that processed me 10 years ago. My name is clear. Warrants for my escape will be dropped. Social workers have Catherine in a safe place, and she knows I'm coming for her. I could run, disappear, start a new life. But that's not justice. That's not who I am. I broke the law to uphold a higher one, to find the truth. Now I have to trust the system I once railed against. I have to walk through those doors and finish this the right way. My fight is over. It's time to go home. Thank you for watching, for listening. If you or someone you know is struggling, remember that your story isn't over. There is help and there is hope. Your voice deserves to be heard. Thanks for being here. Please like and subscribe for more stories of resilience and truth.